Good morning, Chaver. Today is the 19th day of Iyar, and we're going to start with counting Sfira on page 138. Let's say together, Hayoim, Arba'a, Ushloishim Yoim, Shehem, Arba'a, Shavuos, Vishisha, Yomim, La'omer. Today is 34 days, which is 4 weeks and 6 days of the Omer. We're on page 114 in the middle of Perik Mem Tes, chapter 49 in Tanya, page 114 in Yochayenu. As we continue in today's lesson, the blessings, the brachas preceding Shema, are a prelude to the theme of Tzimtzumim, which we were talking about, contractions of Hashem's tremendous light in order for a Yid to be able to do a mitzvah. And it's a prelude to submission to Hashem. When we recite the Shema, they discuss the sacrifice of Hashem's part and putting aside all his vastness, the angels, the entire universe for our sake, thus enjoining us to mirror that. This will enable us to understand the reasonable explanation of why the Rabbanim, the Chachamim ordained. This is the blessings that we say before the Shema, the two blessings which go before Shema. The L'chaira would seem ein lahem shaychus klal im krishma. At first glance, if you read them and translate it, it appears that they don't have a connection to Shema itself. As the Rashba and other halachic authorities have stated. In this, they're unlike other rabbinic blessings pronounced over mitzvahs, where such blessings refer explicitly to the mitzvah itself. As for example, when we say the bracha before we put on tefillin, when we say the bracha before we put on a talis, or before we light the candles. But the brachas before Shema don't seem to correlate to the Shema itself. Lama kara oisam birchas kriya Shema. And then why then were they termed the blessings of Shema? And why was it ordained that they be recited specifically before, when there's no apparent way to connect to it? So now the reason is, and the answer is, that the essence of the reciting of the Shema is to fulfill the mitzvah that you should love Hashem with all your heart. And that is with all your heart means with your Yetzer Tov and with your Yetzer Hara, with your godly soul and your animal soul. That a Jew should have the love for Hashem with his entire heart, including his animal instinctual desires and even his Yetzer Hara's evil inclination. Tahainu, lamoid neged kol meinei ba'ahava, neged kol meinei ba'avas Hashem. This is to say, to withstand anything that hinders, that gets in the way of his love for Hashem. U'levavcha, your heart, in ha'isha, v'yeladeha, it alludes to one's wife and her children. Shalavav shel adam kshura behem v'tivoi. Imagine, you have to close everything off. That's why we close our eyes. We put our hands over our eyes, and we try to not be distracted by anything at all, even the things, those that are closest to us, the ones we love, our family, our children. We try to focus on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's probably the hardest thing to do. So, so our sages have taught us that when we say the pasuk for he spoke and it came to pass, this refers to one's wife. And from the pasuk he commanded and it stood fast, this refers to the children, meaning it's Hashem's command that imbues a man's nature with the bond to his wife and children, that these are your heart. These are the things with my heart, with everything that I'm closest with that I'm going to love Hashem. And they're not going to block. If anything, they're going to be part of the love for Hashem, part of my heart. V'nafshecha, u'moedecha, When it says by your soul and your might, it's understood literally, your life and your sustenance. They too should not act as an impediment to spiritual service. All are renounced for the love of Hashem. Thus, either the things that are found within the animal soul and the Yetzer Hara, so whatever's found within, which is the animal soul, the Yetzer Hara within inside of us, nor that which is without your closest family members and sustenance. Even if your phone's ringing and you think it might be the best business deal, nothing should hinder a person from those matters which lead to the love of Hashem. How? But how? Now that we've established that we have to focus 100% with all your might. It's discussed that also Maidecha is your money. So it's with all your heart, soul, and all your resources that a person should focus on the love of Hashem during Shema. But then the Alter Rebbe says, but how can physical man attain this level of godly love that nothing can obscure? We all know how hard it is. We all know that it's nearly impossible because our minds are constantly wandering, and we have to fight to focus and to direct our love towards Hashem when our minds are always pulling us this way and that, and we're thinking about sometimes things that are close to us and things that are far from us, but whatever it is, it's trying to distract us during Shema. Lakach, it's to this end, Sidru Tchila Berchas Yetzer. That's why we say the bracha of Yetzer before we say Shema. Sham Nemar v'nishma barichos inyan v'seder hamalachim ha'oimdim b'romaylam. First, we say the bracha of Yetzer. For in this blessing there is stated and repeated at length, and this meditation must indeed be a lengthy one. It's not so simple. You have to go over it and over it, taking into account all the specific details. The account and order of the angel standing at the world's summit. We realize in order to proclaim the greatness of Hashem, how they are all nullified in His light. You're talking about the angels. And they pronounce in fear and they sanctify Hashem. And they say together in fear, holy, holy, holy. Meaning by saying holy, that Hashem is apart from them and does not clothe Himself in them in a revealed state. Ella, rather, where is Hashem revealed? The whole world is filled with Hashem. And what is that? Where is that? Namely, He knesses Yisrael l'mayla v'Yisrael l'mata k'miskalil. Namely, in the community of Israel above, the Malchus of Atzilus, source of the Jewish souls, which is called earth, above, and down here below in Yisrael. Wherein when a Yid performs Torah mitzvahs, for which reason specifically in this world is filled with Hashem's glory, it is here in this world that Hashem clothes and reveals Himself, as has been explained earlier when we learn Torah and when we fulfill the mitzvahs of the Torah. So all the above refers to the comprehension of the supernal angels, the Seraphim, who are able to comprehend how Hashem is apart from them, and that only the earth is charged with His glory. Imagine how spiritual the angels are, and still they're begging to be close to Hashem. So they understand that even if they might be closer than we are, it's like, okay, we're at in the bottom 100, let's say, and they might be at 1 billion, but that's still compared to infinity, it doesn't make a difference. They're still infinitely far away from Hashem. So do we find in the aforementioned blessing of Yetzer regarding other categories of angels whose place is in a lower world than where the Seraphim are, which we just discussed, who say holy, 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 who are therefore unable to comprehend how godliness is separate and apart from the Ifanim and the holy Chayis of the mighty sound. And they declare Baruch Kved Hashem V'Kayim, blessed be the Lord of Hashem, glory of Hashem, may be drawn down from its place. For they neither know nor do they apprehend the place. They don't get it. They're not able to. The place from which godliness is revealed, for which reason they say its place, wherever place that might be. And we say a few lines later, for he alone is exalted and holy. So the various degrees of nullification of these angels are thus spoken of in the first of the two blessings preceding Shema. So when a person meditates on this matter, begin to understand that Hashem's greatness for all the lofty angels are nullified to him. Then we have another bracha, which declares Hashem's great love of the Jewish people. So first is the blessing of the angels, then it's the God declaring his great love for the Jewish people, notwithstanding the lofty service and subjugation of all the holy angels. Hashem saw it fit to set them all aside, as it were, choosing instead to delight in the service of his people below. Imagine Hashem has all these angels singing his praise, but nevertheless he wants from the Jew that struggles, that has all sorts of distractions and disturbing thoughts, and when a Jew does a mitzvah, that's what Hashem wants most. Avas oilam avtanu Hashem Elokeinu. We say, the Baracha, Hashem, you have loved us with everlasting love. Set aside all the angels. No, I'm waiting for this, the people. And he loves the people more than anything. The Yidden. We talked about this earlier. He caused the Shekhinah to dwell upon us, the Jewish people, so that he, Hashem, be called our God. In the same sense as it was called Elikei Avraham, the God of Avram. Avram was completely nullified to Hashem. To that same degree that Hashem is called the God of Avram, he's also called our God. This is accomplished, as explained earlier, through the Torah and mitzvahs that we perform. This is because love impels the flesh. Love affects concealment and contraction. And so too, that Hashem's love for his people bring about a certain contraction, in that he chose the service of the Jewish souls in the state in which they are found here below, and clothed in physical bodies and in the finite world. And therefore this love of Hashem's part is called Avasolam, a love of the world. For it refers to the contraction, it's called the love of the world, for it refers to the contraction of Hashem's great and infinite light, assuming the garb of finitude. This world has a finite limit, which is called olam. The concept of world signifies the finitude of space and time. Hashem brought about this contraction. Avur avasamo Yisrael kedei lekarvon I love ikolel b'yichudei v'achdus yisparich. And he did it for the sake of his love for the Jewish people, in order to bring them near to him, that they may be absorbed into his blessed unity and oneness through Torah mitzvahs. This is also the meaning of what we say a little bit later on in the bracha of Avasolam, in connection to exceedingly abounding compassion, meaning more than you have bestowed upon others, you have bestowed upon us. Kirvas Elikim Shabachol Tzva Maila. Namely, compassion exceeding the nearness of Hashem towards all the hosts above. So Hashem's nearness to them comes out of his sense of compassion for them. Just talking about the angels. So he has Rahmanas on them. This can in no way compare to the compassion God feels for us, for which reason he draws us closer to him. And the same blessing of Avasolam then continues. You have chosen us from all the other nations and languages. This refers to the material body, which in its corporal aspect is similar to the bodies of the Gentiles. Hashem didn't choose our souls. He chose our entire being, our physical bodies, which is the same as everybody else. That's the way it's free choice. Otherwise, if it's just the souls, it wouldn't be free choice. It's amazing. You would imagine that we would say thank you to Hashem. Hashem is saying thank you to us. He chose us and he's grateful that he has us. But we also, you've brought us near to give thanks. The interpretation of what exactly it means that Hashem gives us thanks will be explained further on, later on. Liachedcha is very powerful, and proclaim your oneness, which means to be absorbed into Hashem's unity, as we've explained. So the takeaway is Hashem loves each and every one of us. And that's why he goes through hoops, goes through all sorts of complications, contractions, concealment, to be present in our lives, and that you can call him your God, the same God as Abraham. Hashem loves you. That's it. Have a wonderful day. Have an amazing day.